Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the feature news for today, 5th of April 2022, which is on the 5th BIMSTEC Summit. In this feature news, we will understand what is important about the BIMSTEC that makes it relevant to this date, and why this summit. What have been the important outcomes of this summit? What have been the impacts on a country like India? What has been the initiatives from India's end? How can it impact India's economy, India's strategy in its Look East policy, and what is there for all the other stakeholders? So let's begin this discussion, and before that, well, let me welcome all the people. Kriti, Netra, Kim, Amlan, Hima, Ashish, Babani, Vivek, Tiyasha, welcome. Hi Sam, welcome back. And Vivek has also got a reply. Kanupriya, welcome. All right. Now, there was a question posed by Amlan. I'll take it towards the end of this video. So let's start this. Now, this 5th BIMSTEC meeting, which was held in Colombo just 31st of March 2022, was the 5th meeting held, and the earlier plan was to hold these meetings every 4 years. This institution was created way back in 1997, becomes relevant because it has been 25 years since the initiation of BIMSTEC. The time it was created, it was not an association of 7 nations. It was at that time the association of 4 nations. So these 4 nations that we are speaking of and the background of this, let's cover this. Bangkok Declaration, that means it was in Thailand, and then 4 nations promised to create a new association called as BIMSTEC. It had Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka and Thailand in 1997, and BIMSTEC economic cooperation, this was the agenda in those times. But later there were other countries which joined. In December of 1997 itself, there was another country which joined, which was Myanmar, and later on 2 more countries, landlocked countries, Nepal and Bhutan, joined, and that's when the association became that of 7 countries. Now this is where the name got changed from BIMSTEC to BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Multi-Sectoral Initiative. What is it? Its name would be BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technological and Economic Cooperation, right? So this initiative is not an initiative which has got hundreds of fields of participation. No, it has been earmarked what has to be the participation of various countries and what are the agenda for the participation of these countries, right? So when SAARC was created, association was multi-pronged. When BIMSTEC was created, association was 14-pronged. And out of these 14, later this time itself, the number of agenda that people have to work at all the 7 participants, it has been reduced from 14 to 7, and each of the countries have been awarded 1 agenda for them to work at, right? So what are these agenda? The 7 agenda are science and technology innovation, trade and investment, right behind you, right behind me, environment and climate change, agriculture and food security, people and people contact, and connectivity. And guess which is the area which has been given to India? Tell me which of these 7 areas have been given to India. It is security. India has to handle the security component and take lead for all these 7 nations for security component. All right. Now, this is where each of the nations have been awarded each of these areas, right? Now, BIMSTEC constitutes of a humongous proportion of world population. India, Bangladesh itself constitute very good proportion of the world population. So all these 7 nations included, this is around $4 trillion of economy. 4 trillion. Thailand is a good economy here, but of course not as populated as India is, and 27% of world population. This is the same area, Bay of Bengal area, from where the world trade passes, and almost 1/4 of the whole world trade would pass an area like this. Therefore, this area becomes very, very supremely important for the countries which are adjoining to this area, right? So 27% world population, the economy of these places, the kind of potential and human resources available here, this area becomes an important one. Also, SAARC created in around 1984-85. All right, BIMSTEC. The headquarters of BIMSTEC is located in which place? Can anybody tell me in the comment section? SAARC headquarters located at Dhaka. SAARC not functioning well because of one defined nation, Pakistan, and there are security implications, trade implications, even the humanitarian aid was not being passed by Pakistan from India to Afghanistan. So imagine what would happen to the trade, the effective general trade. Not only that, but then the countries do not have complementary economies. They are competing against each other. Similar products, cotton, jute, rice, all of them similar products being exported to the world market. And therefore, the competitive economy between these countries, and therefore SAARC is being held back. So this is where India is looking at BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC, an association which can provide it inlets into its Act East policy. Inlets into Act East policy. It can be a major boost for India's Indo-Pacific strategy. Once it starts associating with countries like Thailand, Myanmar, it can get further inroads into countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore. So this is where India begins its policy for getting inroads into Indo-Pacific. It can get its activism into Indo-Pacific. There are many ways in which India can initiate. And why this summit has been important is because it was in this summit that BIMSTEC decided to formalize certain structures, to have a charter or constitution for itself. This will make its presence far more impactful in the international arena. It also has a flag now. BIMSTEC also has a flag now. This is the flag looks like. On the right side of the screen, you would be able to see the flag of BIMSTEC. So this is an important initiative which has only been only received impetus right now, right? So this is the 5th summit, and the idea has been to hold the summit regularly, more often from now on. So once every 2 years, they'll be holding meeting. The last meeting which was conducted when India had a BRICS meeting. Listen to this. When India had conducted its BRICS meeting in the past, in 2018 in Goa, there was a special acknowledgement of BRICS by Indian Prime Minister saying that all the BIMSTEC members must interact with the BRICS nation countries. All the 7 members must interact with BRICS nation countries. See, this is how there's increased people-to-people ties, diplomatic ties, increased ties between the statespersons or the politicians of the nations, and they look for opportunities for trade, right? So not only this, India also has an opportunity because India next year will be the chair for G20 for a year next year. And when India is in the chair, India can further popularize BIMSTEC as an important trading partner, right? So the headquarter of BIMSTEC, okay, good enough, Dhaka. Thank you very much, Dhaka. SAARC's headquarter in Nepal. Absolutely true. SAARC's headquarter in Nepal. Absolutely. It is in Kathmandu. BIMSTEC's headquarter in Dhaka. And can you please tell me where is the headquarter for ASEAN then? Right. So ASEAN formed in the year, I think 1967. BIMSTEC formed in the year 1997. SAARC formed in the year 1985. Please correct me if I am wrong. So, although BIMSTEC is not very successful treaty as of now, why? Because amongst all these seven countries, the trade between these 7 countries is hardly 7%. It is hardly 7% of all the trade that they carry out with other participants. And comparing this with the ASEAN economies, their integration in economy is such good that the 10 economies in ASEAN, they trade more than 25% amongst themselves. So we need a better integration between BIMSTEC countries, and this is the reason that they fulfilled commitment towards certain pacts. Let's understand some of these pacts. All right. Now, one important thing that I have been missing is India's development into Northeast. Have a look at this map. This map clearly speaks of the kind of relationship that India shares with its geographical partners. This is the Northeast part, the one in blue that I have highlighted. But when you see BIMSTEC countries, they are located east to it, Myanmar and Thailand, and they are located west to it, Bhutan and Nepal, and also Bangladesh. So when you eye BIMSTEC, it can be seen from 3 perspectives: security of Northeast and development of Northeast. Northeast is one. India's participation in Act East policy, absolutely true. Act East, so one of the important moves for India. And India's strategy towards Indo-Pacific, absolutely true. All 3 are the context for having a rigorous process for BIMSTEC, right? So understanding this, India went ahead with doing some kind of pacts with these neighboring countries. What are these pacts? See, first of all, they have developed a master plan for transport connectivity. See, it has been said world over that connectivity is the key to progress. Physical connectivity, digital connectivity, infrastructure connectivity, the hard connectivity between places is important. As of now, India's movement from India to a place in Myanmar is tougher than India's movement to Singapore or India's movement to Sydney. Similarly, India's movement from Delhi to Colombo would be tougher as compared to India moving from Delhi to New York. Imagine this, a place that far, but then the connectivity has been increased, it has been boosted. The regional ties have been accelerated. There has been an ease of movement of shipping corridors. And this is what has been lacking in the in BIMSTEC countries. Yes, not to mention that it has been lacking in BRICS, in SAARC countries, but then India right now is focusing on BIMSTEC to have increased participation from these countries. Therefore, India is looking at these shortcomings. And for that same reason, there were some treaties which are now pending and which are very important for the future. One of them is Coastal Shipping Agreement. The second one is Motor Vehicle Agreement, and the third one is Electricity Grid Interconnectivity. देखिए, बहुत important. पहला, Coastal Shipping Agreement between countries so that movement is eased between participants, right? So the port in Bangkok should be more accessible to the port in Visakhapatnam and Chennai and Ennore and Kolkata. Similarly, Motor Vehicle Agreement, BBIN, remember BBIN transport corridor. Not only BBIN, start looking at all the corridors which have been pending. So one corridor which has been pending is the Kaladan, multimodal Kaladan project, right? So this project moves the entities, logistical entities from India through Northeast or through Bangladesh to a place called as Kaladan in Myanmar, right? Not only that, we've also got another treaty between India and Myanmar along with other countries moving towards eastern part, right? So India, Myanmar, Thailand, and further getting inroads into Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, all these other countries. So first three connectivity programs. One is the India, Myanmar, Thailand. The second one is Kaladan multimodal project, and the third one is connectivity of BBIN. These three connectivity all pending. And one of the reasons for this pending project is the security implications. If there is insecurity in Myanmar, if there are conflicts which is happening, and the Shin people who are, the people who are residing in Indian side and the Myanmar side both, they are the ones who are most vulnerable. They must be protected. But then because of these kind of insecurities in the nearby areas, our infrastructure projects are pending. This is one of the reasons. Financial implications and technical shortcomings, they are of course there, but security implication is one reason. But then the projects which are naval in nature, for example maritime projects, this must be looked at. Motor vehicle agreement and electricity grid interconnectivity. See, infrastructure is of two kinds: physical infrastructure and digital infrastructure. This is one way one could look at. Infrastructure are also of another kind: physical infrastructure and social infrastructure. In physical infrastructure, we could have two kinds of infrastructure: energy infrastructure and connectivity infrastructure. So when you look at this structure, the infrastructure between the countries here, coastal shipping, motor vehicle agreement, these both are the physical connectivity. So coastal shipping and shipping infrastructure and road infrastructure, these are the physical connectivity. And energy infrastructure for sharing of electricity between countries which have surplus areas with those countries which have lesser energy. India, Nepal is a good example. India, Bhutan is a good example. So rather than having them as bilateral treaties, India could have it as multilateral treaties. Bangladesh could be another country which can be brokered in. For example, if Bhutan wants to sell electricity, okay, Bhutan could sell it to India, Nepal and Bangladesh, either of them. And this is where it gets more competition, right? More competition for products. So this is good for all the stakeholders. India is the one which needs to take lead for electricity grid connectivity as well. This will empower the local people there. Only when the physical interconnectivity, only when the energy interconnectivity is there, there will be progress in the region, and there will be lesser poverty, lesser disparity, lesser issues against development. For example, crime and terrorism, right? So we need progress, and this is where India is one of the important stakeholders. See, India also provided finance in this summit for maintenance, for the budget of the headquarters. Not only that, India has also given finances for other steps which other stakeholders have not. So India is playing the role of one country which is taking initiative at BIMSTEC. Now, this initiative is not only helpful for India, this is also helpful for other stakeholders. For example, Bangladesh, an economy which is growing, it wants to present itself as an economy which is only growing. Sri Lanka needs to come out of a crisis. Similarly, the Southeast Asian countries of Myanmar and Thailand, very important. They want to come out of the shadows of China. They want to have more trading partners. China and Bhutan and Nepal, these both the countries which are landlocked, they are also looking for an opportunity where they could have a better outreach. Nepal has trade with India, majority of trade, import also. Bhutan also similar, their budget also very much relevant to what India's finances are, right? So they also look forward to an international presence, and BIMSTEC is a cooperation for that. SAARC is not activated well, so BIMSTEC is the cooperation which will help not only in a country like India, it will also help these stakeholders like Nepal, Bhutan, landlocked. Myanmar, Thailand, grow out of China's influence. Bangladesh, projecting itself not as a poor nation but developing nation. Sri Lanka, grow out of its crisis. See, so an important step for all the countries, right? Population, but then good population, good human resources, but then it needs some spur, right? And this is where the countries, that is the reason that they had an emblem now. They have goals, institutions, and flag right now. So this is an important thing that you should look at. India also, see, one example of how India is helping this initiative. India also funded $3 million for Center for Weather and Climate. Center for Weather and Climate. Now, since India has got regional navigation satellites, India has also got resource mapping satellites available. India can provide services for disaster handling, disaster mapping, humanitarian assistance to all these countries. Poorer countries, countries which don't have these satellite capabilities, and India can become the leader in the region. Very simple. So India is the one which is funding these projects so that it can help the smaller nations around. But then once they have the goodwill, then we will have better partnership. So trade will lead the way. Similarly, India also conducted 3 agreements with all the partners, like mutual legal assistance in criminal matters. In case there are criminal matters, then mutual agreements, for example, extradition, it could be made easier. Diplomatic academy, training of diplomats across the borders. This should be an establishment of technology transfer facility in Sri Lanka. Technology transfer facility in Sri Lanka, right? So this has been the key update from this summit, right? But when you look at the presence of these countries in Indian Ocean, what have been the important implications? The joint presence of these countries in Indian Ocean can actually impact the presence of technology here, the presence of impact of their work on climate change, right? I was asked a question a while back that was on Colombo Security Conclave, right? So what is the reason that we don't have Bangladesh as a permanent member here? When this initiative began in the year 2011, there were 3 stakeholders: India, Sri Lanka, and Maldives, 3 countries. And right now, the meeting of the NSA is, I think, 2019 onwards, the name got changed to Colombo Security Enclave. And this is where 3 stakeholders, Bangladesh, Seychelles, and Mauritius, these were 3 additional stakeholders who participated, and they have been offered the membership. In fact, they have been offered the membership now, and the horizon of the treaty security has only increased with time. Earlier, the areas dealt with maritime issues and security implications in the adjoining areas of these 3 countries, India, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. But right now, the cooperation has increased to humanitarian assistance. It has increased to counter terrorism. It has increased to issues of fishing. So therefore, Bangladesh also can participate. and Seychelles can participate, and Mauritius can also participate. So that is a very good step. Now this is what an influence like Colombo Security Enclave or like an initiative like BIMSTEC can do. It can have greater association amongst themselves. But please remember, why same example of Korea, that should not happen. Same example of Vietnam, that should not happen, right? What is that? Rules of origin, right? So India has been trying to negotiate all the other countries as well, a trade treaty between all the BIMSTEC countries since 2005. Rules of origin wala thing should not come back again here to haunt us, right? So that is here. So basic shipping connectivity is important, right? Natural resources mapping, India can do this. Resources of fishes, see, all these countries are only growing. The demand is only growing. The economy is only growing. When it is only growing, they don't have technology, right? So India can support all these nations right here. Multimodal transport plan, and what leads all this is only connectivity and security. Everything else comes secondary. So let me share this again. Science, technology, innovation, environment, climate change, agriculture, food security, people to people contact, everything will come secondary to connectivity and security. Connectivity between two countries and security. These are the primary things. So India is taking the lead in security, and connectivity is also what India is due to providing, right? So BBIN, let's exclude one B here, BIN. And then we have Kaladan, and then the trilateral highway that we speak of, right? India, Myanmar, and Thailand. And then further inroads into other countries, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. All right. So look at the connectivity and security aspect of all the nations. If we have a troubled neighborhood, it would be tough for us to establish peace and better trade connectivity. And this is why India has been facing the trouble. Okay. So see, this is what the Prime Minister says. With our region facing challenges of health and economic security, the need of the hour is unity and cooperation. So health challenges and economic challenges, we need better unity amongst ourselves. Today is the time to make Bay of Bengal a bridge of connectivity, a bridge of prosperity, a bridge of security, a bridge of connectivity. See, is it not true that there is ethnic ties between Indian people and the people in Myanmar? Absolutely. Indian people and Sri Lankan people? Absolutely. Indian and Bhutanese people? Absolutely there. Indian Nepalese? Yes. India, Bangladesh? Absolutely Bangla. So the point I'm making here is people have ethnic ties. It just needs to be given some boost from the end of diplomacy, and this is how it can become a bridge of prosperity, a bridge of connectivity, right? See, this is a statement by a statesperson or a diplomat, India's Rajdoot, no, the Prime Minister of India, speaking about the nation. But looking at the underlying picture, this is another example of India having a wider outreach in Indo-Pacific region. How and why? Is because India wants to disrupt the supply chain that China has, provide cheaper goods, economic goods that are available with us to its neighboring countries, right? This is what Australia did. The closer the country is located, the more the external trade with them. I showed this to you. 7 out of the 10 trading partners, highest trading partners of Australia are the adjoining countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan, Korea, China, all of them. So India can also do that. Right now it is not doing it. We need it, right? So another sentence that the Prime Minister says is trade, economic, transport, digital, people to people connectivity, all of them, they are the biggest opportunity for a country like India. So एक तो अंदर बनाना है अपने लिए, India के लिए, and the other one has to be constructed for all the countries, in between countries. All right. And other countries have not paid as much. We have been funding the budget for the Secretariat of BIMSTEC. We have been paying for the weather and climate services, right? The Office for Weather Climate Services. Notwithstanding that, it will benefit us only in the long run more than the others. All right. So when Prime Minister calls the BIMSTEC members for their own oath-taking ceremony, when India wants the BIMSTEC members to talk to BRICS leaders, Russian, Chinese, Brazil leaders, right, in Goa 2018, when India in G20 might also encourage the BIMSTEC, again, this is the way in which this BIMSTEC partnership will only grow with time, right? Greater integration will happen, right? So yes, see, India is not directly connected to Thailand, but it is one of the important neighbors. All right. Um, so 3 pacts done on technology transfer facility, diplomat academy, criminal matters, legal facilitation, and coastal shipping, motor vehicles, electricity grid. This is something where they have to proceed ahead. All right. So see, Thailand is a manufacturing base. There is social to social ties with all the nations that we have. Similarly, Bangladesh has got an economy which is only rising with time. There is complementarity between the products available between various countries. So all this can be, India has got a huge base of human resource population. Thailand is good with technology, right? Similarly, there are other nations which need the presence of India, so they can also have complementarity in the in the partnerships, right? Okay. That is the reason that all the countries have said they will meet once in 2 years. Biennial partnership, not once in 4 years. All right. Okay. So more people to people ties are required between both the countries. Okay. What else I have? So when you look at a partnership like this, yes, when you look at a partnership like this, and let me just draw some contours of this partnership. So BIMSTEC partnership, the countries, 7 countries, and their prime agenda of partnership. What is the intention of partnership? Each of them have their own intention, but then mixing together, this is definitely forming a partnership. Current challenges that they have, the opportunities that they seek. Challenges: physical connectivity is limited. Challenge is technology is limited, right? Challenge is security implications amongst the countries. So there are several challenges that must be mentioned together. Opportunities that they seek, this is important. Along with that, when you speak of the BIMSTEC countries, the closer, so what is there for India in specific, right? So as I mentioned, 3 parameters: look east, right? Security of northeast, because it lies just between some of the BIMSTEC members on both the sides, and India's Indo-Pacific strategy. Complementarity with other economies, for example, ASEAN and BIMSTEC. How India can influence ASEAN here, or BIMSTEC can influence ASEAN. India's aid to BIMSTEC nations. This is also important. And why an economy of BIMSTEC could prosper ahead of SAARC. This is something in addition to what we are speaking right now. It is because SAARC has got Pakistan, and we know the rest of the story. All right. So this is how you should be able to frame pointers on the challenges, the opportunities, India's participation in this economy, ASEAN, and the 7 key partners. What is their agenda? Right? So if you do this article of BIMSTEC, you largely have covered almost all the opinions. Okay. Moving ahead to what we have here, the 5th summit right now since 1997. All right. So BIMSTEC the theme was towards a resilient region, prosperous economy, and healthy people. All right. Rationalized area of cooperation reduced from 14 to 7 only. Okay. Adopted BIMSTEC Charter, master plan on transport connectivity, 10-year master plan for future created. Mutual legal assistance, mutual cooperation between diplomatic academies, and technology transfer facility, all of them created. All right. I mean, partnership signed. Right. So the quick history: BIMSTEC economies earlier, and now BIMSTEC got created, right? Along with that, their participation in Indo-Pacific distribution of COVID vaccines amongst the nations. And this is a win-win situation for all the partnership. How come Bangladesh looking forward to grow beyond its name as a weaker economy? Nepal and Bhutan landlocked. Myanmar, Thailand growing beyond China, right? So ho gaya sab kisi ka. Sri Lanka connect with other nations. India, of course, the largest economy here. The region's largest economy is a lot at stake. All right, written here. Okay, it's a key foreign policy to engage with the Eastern Asian nations, Southeast Asian nations. SAARC proving to be insufficient. India is now eyeing towards BIMSTEC. Okay, so abhi SAARC we have not studied, but then this is an opportunity for you to look a little into SAARC. You will be able to gauge the examples very easily. Like, for example, trade issues, insecurity between the nations, insecurity between India and Sri Lanka also उसमें डालना है. When the question is on SAARC, but then don't be putting conflicting examples. For example, when you speak of India and Sri Lanka having opportunity in BIMSTEC, don't speak of India Sri Lanka challenges in the same answer. This will be conflicting. Conflict of interest हो जाएगा. So you got to speak of the security implications or challenges between India and Afghanistan, right? Or India and Pakistan. You have to speak about the security implications. You have to speak about the competing economies, right, between Pakistan and India, right? And then you have to speak about India being the largest nation and other smaller stakeholders who can interact only through India's participation. If you see the map here, you would see that in SAARC, India is the nation which is connecting all the other nations. None of the nations are directly connected directly to each other, yeah, barring Afghanistan and Pakistan relationship, okay? But otherwise, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, this is where the countries, smaller countries say, "Arey bhai, let us engage." No, allow us to engage India. Please do something for us. So BBIN was one important network. Similarly, the BIMSTEC forum is another beautiful forum because Pakistan has been stalling the action in SAARC. So then conducting a preferential trade agreement, this is an opportunity for BIMSTEC, but then it should not hinder India's interest. Okay. Strategic significance. Bay of Bengal is strategically located in the Indian Ocean, right? So much of trade, 1/4 of global trade happening from these areas. The area is rich in natural resources, mineral resources, rich in biotic resources, right? Maritime zone, the blue economy, right? Or deep ocean mission that can be activated in those areas, very much relevant, right? So India's Sagar policy, security and growth for all in the region, right? This is important. India's presence, opportunity is creation of highways, trilateral highways, or Kaladan transport corridor, or BIN corridor. This is not challenging China's BRI. We are far smaller than them, but then at least trying to integrate the regional economy far better than before. All right, development of the northeast region. So this is the way in which you should look at an article like this. BIMSTEC challenges before India. The impression of BIMSTEC being India dominated bloc. ठीक है? So अब BIMSTEC नहीं, put the challenge here for SAARC also. Make it flexible, no? Make your thought flexible that India is a bigger country. See, China is a bigger country. Even if it is pure, everybody might speak against China. Even if you're doing well, there will be people who will be talking behind your back. You don't have to get bothered about it. So similarly, when India could be dominating, absolutely, may not be dominating, but then if you look at the shortcomings, this is how others perceive it. This is one shortcoming that you could write, right? Similarly, SAARC, the way SAARC has fallen out of the developmental agenda, so could BIMSTEC because of the security challenges. Sri Lanka going through security challenge, yes. What about the issue in Nepal, instability in Nepal? We'll also have a feature news on India-Nepal relationship because the Premier just visited India. Similarly, a country like Myanmar, Thailand, both of them military dominion state and both of them looking forward to similar kind of regimes in the future, right? So challenge Myanmar going through another challenge of civil war, right? Economic issues. The geopolitical scenario will also be a challenge for India, right? The aggressiveness of China in the South China Sea and its assertive nature in Nepal, along with China's strategic, strong economic and military engagements with other South Asian nations, this is a challenge. So China's engagement with Sri Lanka, China's engagement with Bangladesh, Nepal, Thailand, and Myanmar. This is, and of course, Nepal and Bhutan. China tries to engage with each of these neighbors, which happen to be India's BIMSTEC partners. So this is a big challenge for India. So this is how you look at BIMSTEC's challenges, BIMSTEC's opportunities, what is there for India, what is there for the stakeholders. Close your eyes for a minute. All this will start coming to your mind. And this is where in 2-3 minutes, you create a diagram, a web diagram, where you talk about each of these points. And this is how revision also will happen. It has to be absorbed. भाई खून में बहेगा आपके फिर, है ना? Or not only BIMSTEC, SAARC, ASEAN, all of them. एक दो छोटे छोटे factual errors कहीं होंगे, that will happen, but then you will have the themes in mind. It will not need you to rigorously memorize things. It will be there because you internalize them, right? BIMSTEC is the only platform through which India can project and extract its interest in South Asia without a hindrance from Pakistan. Absolutely true. Also enabling India to counter Chinese influence, at least in its neighborhood. And so looking at the partnerships that India wants to have, for example, Canada, for example, UK, USA, European countries, India has looked forward to partnerships with these countries, free trade partnerships. All this will receive a boost if India has a trade pact with BIMSTEC and a greater say in BIMSTEC nations, right? So BIMSTEC is an important pillar in South Asian geopolitical order. Discuss the statement in context of 5th BIMSTEC summit. Important pillar in South Asian geopolitical order. Geopolitical, usme not only geopolitical, include economics as well, diplomacy as well, regional ties, historic relationships, everything. A lot of people of Indian origin migrated to Thailand. They migrated to Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam. Trading ties were there, and not only that, the cultural ties extend to the religion of Buddhism, Hinduism in Southeast Asian states. Yeah, so good partnership between both the countries. Now, if you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, and shares. Now I'll look at the questions. Let's see. Okay. Kim says 2016 summit of BRICS. Was this the one held in Goa? So you people mentioned Jakarta is the place where the ASEAN headquarters are located. See, location of the headquarters also is very significant. If you locate the headquarter at a particular country, it gives employment to the people of those places to a decent level, right? Small level only, but decent level. It also increases the presence of that country in diplomatic map of the world. So this is how locating some of the important places in Sri Lanka is important right now. Niranjan, welcome. Niranjan has a question. Big trunk route of Atlantic is world's busiest marine route. Atlantic does carry a lot of trade, but then I also feel that the route that leads to, I wonder, I'll have to see what you're speaking of. What I understand is that one of the important choke points of marine trade routes is the Suez Canal, possibly the most important. We'll get back on this. Kaladan is also, Kaladan and Trilateral Highway, all of them are not active because of what is happening in Myanmar. One reason, financial reasons, delays from India's end, all of them are also there. But security is a very important engagement. If security is not working, then the infrastructure won't be working. If infrastructure is not working, local development will not happen. If local development is not happening, then the international trade also will get affected. Yeah. So start from one point and make it reason-based argument, and then you see how examiner falls in your magic of your thoughts. Amnan says recent dedicated epidemiologist cadre where India can play a key role in support. Yes, there is no limitation, my dear friends, of what you can think about how India can play a leading role here. There is no limitation. So epidemiologist cadre is one good example. Similarly, there are innumerable examples. For example, India's leadership in food security, India's innovation in financial business, in these creation of these apps, mobile apps. Tata Neo is good example. India can initiate these kind of apps. What is about UPI payments and BHIM? Can India not help these countries create a financial architecture? Make everything digital? Yes, we can do that. We can actually do that. So there is no limitation, just that you should be aware and you should have the idea of interconnectedness in between the topics. That's it. And then you see the world is yours. Karupriya says, India can be great help to landlocked countries like Bhutan, Nepal. Yes, absolutely correct. Absolutely. And more than India, Bhutan, Nepal look forward to it. Imagine in your own family. Imagine when you were small and you had far elder brother or sister. Would you not feel a little, discouraged? Oh, how can I tell them things? In fact, if they openly offer something to you, you would feel so grateful, so happy. Oh, they have offered things. This is how is the relationship between Bhutan and India or Nepal and India. Imagine India playing that role for these smaller countries. They would forever feel obliged, right? This is how, see, India is very strategically planning its diplomacy with countries, right? Ab kya kare? Well, what can we do when the internal politics is such? So India has requested Nepal to refrain from politicizing its relationship with India, to clear the issue of security of the border issues that India has, the border issue Nepal has with India. Clear the border issues, do not politicize it. Right? We will help you in development. Kanupriya says, for marine connectivity. Yes, for marine connectivity. Yes, absolutely. Preeti says, financial integration. Oh yeah, here is the point. Financial integration between these countries. They adopted UPI's platform. Yes. So UPI platform is going to aid to Indian tourists going to Nepal. But what about Nepali rupiah? What about Bhutanese currency? If we could provide these apps and help them, their banks grow, their banks not integrating with only us, but their banks grow within themselves. That is very important. North Atlantic route is the busiest. Okay, thank you. So this is the update from my end. If you have questions, doubts, please put them. I will keep noting them and I will keep serving your questions and doubts in the comment section, or if relevant to everybody, in the chats also. In the discussions as well, right? So if you like this initiative, share some love, and the topic is very much warm in your mind, so write down all about BIMSTEC that you understand from today's discussion, and this will be far good enough. In opinions, if we could cover some later topics, that would be interesting, but then largely good coverage of BIMSTEC today. All right, so Hima, Bhavani, Amlan, good night to all of you. Thank you for participation. I will see you all tomorrow evening for current affairs discussion, and good surprises being packed for you coming week onwards, right? So good things only. All right, Kanupriya, Ashish, good night, and I will see you all tomorrow evening for current affairs. Kriti, good night.